SVG is a lot more powerful than we thought it was. Well, then I thought it was. I didn't know. I thought it was basic shapes. You can make like a circle or a star. You can take that into a vector and then draw all sorts of fun things, but usually they're just sort of like a clip art looking. It looks like just basic materials. However, there are some nice browser updates and upgrades after. When did this happen? When could you render textures using SVG only with code, only with markup? This is amazing. Why? Because usually when you create textures or things like a noise, you try to export that, and the only way to represent it before was like in a JPEG or maybe in a PNG. The problem is there's so much detail that it either gets lost due to the compression of the JPEG, or it dramatically increases the size of your PNG. And this means more bandwidth usage and slower user experience to get a nice looking whatever you're going after. So being able to have the browser render this for us is very satisfying. Easily a 90% savings on bandwidth just by using this feature alone. And this feature in particular is the feTurbulence option that we get within our SVG. Looking here at MDM docs, it's a very straightforward primitive, creates images using a turbulence function, the Perlin turbulence function. We can synthesize artificial textures like clouds and marble, but we can go even further by making it look kind of noisy, that you get like that grind effect that you get in some videos. It can be animated? All right, that's gonna be interesting to see. But surprising, I was not expecting this. Every browser supports it. All of them, every single browser. That is amazing. This is a powerful paintbrush that we can use to build amazing user interfaces that render very quickly on in-target devices. I'm looking forward to diving further. Modern browsers have a lot of built-in capabilities to render really cool user experiences using just text instructions like CSS, but also with SVG, you can take any sorts of shapes, and then we can even now start applying textures, noise, dithering, that dithering look that is really cool. This might not show up very well on a video, however, it looks really good. And we can get that really cool look with just simple instructions for the browser. We can start off with the circle, for example, a basic shape. We have a circle. This is what I thought SVG was good for. It's like making a circle. And then where would you go from here? But it gets deeper. We can add instructions on how to paint the circle. We can apply a gradient. Here's the linear gradient, and then we can use that gradient as a mask, which will give it a transparent look in a gradient faded fashion. So it should, yes, okay. So this looks like, a two-color circle. However, it's actually translucent right here. So you're seeing the background of the web page. And then we go one step further and we add this feTurbulence into the mix. So here's the mask that we saw before with the linear gradient. And then just above that is a filter, which defines our fractal noise with a frequency and number of octaves. Then we can define how that's going to be painted onto the screen, and composite burn, color burn overlay we'll be seeing it. It's going to look cool. So I can see here, just in reference, you see a turbulence. So this composite, FE composite, is going to take the turbulence output from the noise, and it's going to do some things that allow us to apply a blend mode to. So in addition to just generating the noise, right, the texture, we can also apply some effects to it to make it look a little bit nicer. And then we get a circle, and this and it's probably hard to see on the video, but there's a dithering effect here. It looks very good. Higher quality than you could get. If you made a JPEG of this, you wouldn't be able to, it would look exactly like it does on the video. You cannot see the dithering. It's very beautiful. It's very great resolution. If this was a PNG at this resolution, it would be megabytes. It would be way huge of an image, which dramatically slows down user experiences. Oh, there's a full demo. Let's check it out. Ooh, look at this. All right, we're looking here at the code really quick just to kind of see. We've got three circles. Got 3 circles here, and it's neat. They're referencing the same mask and the same filter with the noise. So we can define a texture using this pattern and then apply it to any of our shapes. This is neat. Check it out. You can have multiple SVGs on the page, multiple SVG elements that define. Oh, that's neat. So within a scope perspective, the SVG, you can define an SVG above to define some filters and a mask that can be used in other SVG elements. Very neat. Okay, so we've got this noise filter, which is it's what's giving us all this gradient noise here. It's kind of, you can't really see, I mean, let me see if I can adjust some things here. All right, I bumped a number here to the base frequency so you can kind of see what it looks like. You'll probably be able to see this on the video. See, this is a lower resolution of that sort of noise effect. And since it's using a color burn blend, extra color, so it's not just a grayscale color, we're actually getting some extra colors involved in here, so it kind of looks neat. It's got a nice little pattern. However, if you want to go grayscale, you could probably change the color burn mode here to multiply, and there we go. Okay, so that helped. All right, so this is pretty satisfying. We get to play with the blend mode, and you can change it to all sorts of different options. And if we do like lighten or screen, we could do multiply. We could probably invert the color. There's all sorts of things that we can use that texture. Once we have the base texture, we can apply different blending modes, and it gets these neat designs. Oh, and it looks really good once you change the base frequency. And yeah, so it's hard to see on the screen. I know there's no way you're going to be able to see that, though it looks really good. You probably might be able to see a little bit of this, so you can see some of the noise there. From what I can tell right now, this is the absolute best way to create a highly compressed, maximum quality texture resolution. There's no way you can get any better resolution at this level of file size. And it looks really good too. We don't have to stop there. We can keep going. SVG has all sorts of options that are available to us to create textures and patterns. We can leverage the same techniques to create really good, sort of realistic looking patterns as needed, or just add a little bit of texture here and there. And there's a neat little texture editor. Ooh, look at, all sorts of options are available to us to create and generate a base texture. We can do simple, we can increase the density, maximum density. Oh, interesting. Okay, so we can add some, help increase the entropy or the randomization. All sorts of fun things. All right, so we can, this is a nice little editor now. We're not sort of limited to what this editor is showing us. It gives us a lot of options, including a melt. Okay, I'm looking at the melt. Let's kind of change some things around here. The melt looks like it's a blur effect. So I'm playing around with it here. All sorts of fun. Okay, this is neat. So we can change that. So if we want to make it more subtle, we can reduce the opacity. And then we can export this directly, use it to SVG. This is awesome. It's a neat example here, a demo of some vector-based textures that we can generate just using SVG markup. This is great. Look, what you can achieve with just SVG alone, this is really interesting. Wait, is this SVG? Wait, no. Okay, that's not. I bet you could make that in SVG though. I bet you could make this laptop in SVG. This looks like SVG. We got some patterns. You can take all these patterns and then apply them in various areas of your UI. Mozilla developer documentation has a lot of great details about what we can do with SVG. We can do a lot of things. Even so much of what I was looking at here, I was seeing we can basically do anything we want. We have full control now. Yeah, we got the turbulence with a gradient and dither, which is really cool. And every browser supports it, but it goes even further. There's all these things that we can do. It's amazing. We haven't even gotten into animation. I'm very curious about how that would work. We have blend modes, color matrices. The composite feature is pretty powerful because it allows you to merge multiple, I believe I had it open here. Yeah, it says it lets us perform a combination of inputs and images. We can merge results over various renderings, which is really powerful. Oh, there's a diffuse lighting option. Displacement map. I suppose that would allow us to transform the location of SVG's pixel values. Okay, so it takes two inputs and it uses the second input to spatially displace from the first input. That's pretty interesting. So we can create additional textures to noisify or do other kinds of patterns that would shift things around. Basically, we can do. This is really cool. And then we have a blur function here. This I like. And this is a really powerful feature because you can render a lot of really cool effects just with blur alone. All right, what is this specular lighting? Light source. Oh, no way. This is neat. This actually can make a SVG look 3D. Well, because we've got a base texture or a base shape here, right? Just simple SVG. And then you apply diffuse lighting with a specular lighting, and it gives you a thing which was originally flat, and it looks 3D now. We can go a step further. There's also a morphology morphology option that allows us to erode or dilate the input image. And if that wasn't enough, we can also animate it to provide some motion. And I see here there's an example where it's going to do a thing. I'm not exactly sure what it's going to do here. Or we have a rectangle. We have a series of values and a duration. Oh, okay, I see. So the RX must be the rounding of the corners. And this is SVG. This is really cool. Like, this is important from app developer experience or web developer experience. The faster the user interface is, the better overall feeling and happiness comes from the app. As users are using the app, if it's really fast and it's smooth, they have a good experience. Leveraging SVG with all these techniques allows us to reduce the overall application size because we don't have binary all over the place. And then it also increases the quality because all of this is rendered directly on the device and there's no compression. You won't have any of those lossy artifacts. There is, yes, a trade-off between utility and form, like how cool it is and how neat and nifty it looks versus how useful it can be. Like some of these things could get in the way of making a user experience where it's really obvious that there's, you know, a navigation flow. However, I think there's a balance, and if it's right, it's just going to create a really good user experience.